know there's a history here. I'd like to get this hearing in today. You know, everybody needs to just focus on the relevant facts, okay? I know there's a history here.
Are you talking up by Sunset Mart? Up the hill by the gas station?
Yeah.
Okay. Why did you?
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Transparency.
All right. Who's responsible here?
What's that?
Who's responsible here? Whose house is this?
You guys haven't been drinking or anything, right?
No.
Okay. Drive careful, okay?
Thank you.
This is when the other group had the ran away.
Oh, really? You just ditched it? Awesome.
Yeah, those ones kept walking in the car. And the other one.
It's truly for the win.
That I was given to. So there was 2 different discs. Okay? They all knew about it.
We're not here to talk about the alcohol stuff, okay?
Okay, yeah.
But this is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
I see noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Like brains, and like if you need a lot of brains, you're gonna be in trouble.
What is up? Good morning. My lovers, my haters. I see you guys out there. But y'all are still here for it. So, I mean, come on now. All right. Well, I'm going to share with you guys first a recording from Toolman Tim Hand. He got buried by the Idaho State Police. This tip got put into discovery, but they did nothing with it. And this is just as like, I mean, this guy has no dick in the game. It's just wild. But before I can do that, I need to share with you guys right here. Good old Hector's got a little something for you just to show you why we did this. All right, so take a look. I'm going to zoom in and want to show you here this coordinate right here at 9:52 and 58 seconds from Drake's Google app he was using. Okay, it put him, if you look at here, see right here, 3047 3025. 3047 is right at the glass doors of his office. 3047. This is what we go and do. We go and double check everything. So we double check this on the 10th of February of 2024. Okay. 3047. That's at the glass doors of Drake's office. Okay. See the steps right behind it. Now, this right here, very, very interesting, the 952 timeline, because guess what? Drake had now this is what you would call Drake's schedule that day. So what would seem like Drake had people right here at this 10 o'clock spot. Her name's Andrea. Well, guess what? Drake didn't see Andrea because Andrea missed her appointment. She had missed her original appointment that morning at 10 a.m. and Dr. Drake called to reschedule it later to 11:45. So he never, when he used his, he never changed and moved her down to 11:45. Okay. So this then, his appointments are in 15-minute slots. This then is accurate with all of the time here to here. He was not in his office, and he was in none other than let me grab you this. So this is on the day of the murder of Brian Drake. He goes on over to Isaac Funderburg's apartment at 9:52 a.m. So many papers over here. Mm-hmm. 9:52 and 58 seconds. He is literally at Isaac Funderburg's apartment. Again, this is important because Isaac Funderburg and his girlfriend, Aaliyah Sandlin, at the time say that they don't even know who this guy is. They've never met him. They didn't even know that there was a chiropractor, there. And so he is there at this apartment, beginning right here at 9:52, 58 seconds. And he stays there and then begins to move at 10:03 right down to the other part of the Les Schwab building. So right across, you have to cross over Denver, but it's just on it. So he walks from his building and is at the apartment for 10 minutes. Then, either with somebody present with him or by himself, he then walks over to this building. Now, these two buildings, that's where Isaac's apartment was above this building, is owned by the same guy. At the time, and just before the homicide, Isaac was working for Les Schwab, and then he got fired. Okay? He got fired. Now, then what Drake did is there was a phone call on his call log, and same with Andrea Berg, to say, hey, where are you? Are you coming to your appointment? And she's like, oh my God, I totally forgot about it. And he's like, well, I can push you back. Can you do 11:45? So this was never followed up with the authorities. They never said, let's take a look at the evidence. Let's stop looking and listen to what people are saying. Let's go take the actual physical evidence and the digital evidence, and let's go and take a look at this stuff. They never even opened up the shit. They never did shit with any of the actual evidence. They just did whatever they wanted to do. Because here, there is nothing you could say about this. This is actual GPS proof that Brian Drake left his office, walks across the street, from his building, and is standing here in this man's now Aaliyah's there, and so is Isaac. Now, Isaac allegedly said he went to work, but I would love to know where he works. But he was there for a long enough period of time that if you were just going to knock on the door and nobody was there, that would take you a minute to 2 minutes. He was there for 10 minutes. Okay. Now, and then goes down and walks down to the next building and is down there for a little bit. And then he walks back over to they're back over here in this area. But this is 100% proof that Brian Drake is literally in and at the apartment of the kid who says that he witnessed a guy walking and that's why he called the police and everything. Well, then I went further and I dug down. I was like, dude, I don't believe a damn thing this man is saying. So all right, sorry about that. So now let's back all the way up. A guy by the name of Tim has nothing, like he has no skin in this game. There's a guy named Tim who calls the tip line. Okay, who calls the tip line because he is from Canada and he goes to Bonners Ferry to hang out with his friends, okay, who live there, and he goes and hangs out with them because of the casino on the tribal land, the Kootenai River Inn. So a guy by the name of Tim, he has friends, okay, that live there in Bonners, and he goes and visits them at least once a year, if not more. They try to make it a decent trip, and they like to go gambling at the casino. Well, on this night, March 12th, 2020, from where the casino is, it's just on Main Street here. You just got to go down, keep going Main Street, and you're going to go down into where like the heart of the city is, at the old time area. And it's not far at all. It's like a mile. That's where Stephen Hartman was that night and staying. Well, at the end of their dinner, they then always would get into the vehicle, and sometimes he would just go get the ice cream himself, but they would then drive to Super One. Again, everybody was always going to Super One. So when this man Tim gets in his yellow truck, it's so noticeable. It's a yellow truck. He gets into his truck. He's leaving the casino, so he has to travel up and go south, rather not up, but down, I guess you could say, and head south. And as he's driving south on Main Street, he is literally driving along, and it's right in front of Drake's. And how he knows this is because this dude, he says this car, because he couldn't tell how many people were inside of it, but this car with no lights on, and it's a little hatchback Passat Volkswagen, pulls out literally in front of him. He has to slam on his brakes, and I'm going to have you guys listen to this. That way you can hear it straight from this man's mouth. He calls in, he wants to talk to somebody, and this was like a week or two later. Again, because he was there for a week, but how he remembers everything is because he would go to the Super One to get ice cream, and then they would eat their ice cream there, and then come back. So I want you guys to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, and I have the written up report from Idaho State Police. And how do you not say to yourself, listen to this interview, how do you not follow up with a motherfucking thing? I found it on a surveillance camera as well, that I had Isaac Funderburg's car going across at 6:55, and I put it out there about a month ago, maybe not even. Here I'm doing my investigation and my research, and I find this friggin' interview, and this man says the same thing that I say that I found on camera. So check it out. Again, I'm going to share with you this recorded interview. Let me do it like this. Wait, hold on.
Okay, my name is Tim Hand. I'm Canadian. I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I was down there visiting friends. I was going down Main Street at 7 o'clock on March 12th. I forget what day that was. But anyways, I was going down and a car pulled out in front of me with no lights on, which I thought was strange. And he went from Les Schwab's across the street over to far north or something where that crime scene was. Okay. But anyways, at the time, didn't think nothing of it, but I thought, that's kind of strange. The car had no lights. So then an hour later, I come back after ice cream at Super One, and then all the police were around there, and I didn't think nothing of it. And then as the days went by, I put two and two together. It was bothering my conscience because my good friend told me that a doctor got killed there. So I thought, I don't know if that vehicle had something to do with it, but I thought it was a Volkswagen Passat in the 80s. I remember them when I was younger. And so at the time, I didn't get the license number, and I couldn't tell if there was more than one person in the vehicle.
And what color did you say? What color did you say it was?
It was either gray or dark, silver color.
Hatchback or like a sedan?
Yeah, hatchback.
Okay.
And then
So
at the time, yeah.
So where were you staying?
I was staying down at the Kootenai River Inn.
How long were you staying here for? How long was your visit? What day did you get here? What day did you leave?
We stayed about a week or so.
A week? And then you went to Super One pretty often?
Yeah. I got friends there, so I've been coming down there off and on 15 years.
Okay. So when you saw this vehicle go across the far north, did you see where it went from there?
Well, I was coming along, and I actually had to brake because he pulled up in front of me, and I thought, that's strange. He got no lights on, except he had like circle lights, as in driving lights on the front.
Okay.
And then I didn't think nothing of it, but I thought it was kind of strange. He pulled right up in front of me, and he was heading over towards the far north. He was sitting in the parking lot at Les Schwab's, and I'm coming along at 7:03 it was, and he pulled right up in front of me, and then he went over to that area, far north, and that's the last and at the time, I didn't think about license number enough because I just thought he must be in a hurry.
Okay. And you were headed to Super One at this point, or were you headed back to KRI?
No, I was heading down to Super One to have ice cream.
Okay. Did you see any pedestrians out walking around town at all on that drive? Any other vehicles around? I mean, that stood out to you?
No. Just at the time, there was no cars coming towards me, and all of a sudden, out of the black, he pulled out in front of me. I had to hit the brake. I thought, that's kind of strange, idiot with no lights on. And then I went for ice cream. When I come back, I seen all the police cars, everything. And then I thought, that's strange. Something must have went down here with that car. So then a couple of days went by. My good friend that lives down there, she told me that a doctor got killed. And I thought, I wonder if that vehicle, so it bothered me for about a week. I thought, I wonder if that vehicle had something to do with that crime scene.
And your friend's a local person here in Bonners Ferry?
Yes, Veldy and Rocky Burkholder. Everybody knows them around town.
Can you spell Rocky and what was the other name?
Burke. B-U-R-K. Oh, you read there?
Yeah.
Burkholder, I think. That's it.
Okay.
Burkholder.
And did they tell you, do they know the doctor, Brian Drake, at all?
I'm not sure, no, but the Beldies lived, we met Beldy at the church at the United Methodists there. That's the church we go to.
Okay.
And Beldy was reading the paper, and that's when she told me about it a few days later.
Okay.
I think it was a week after that it came out in the paper.
Okay. And so you said you've come down here for the last 15 years or so and visited off and on. Did you know Dr.
Yeah,
Brian?
we usually come down to the casino to stay at the end.
Did you know Dr. Brian Drake at all? The doctor?
No.
That's funny. Wait. Well, I don't know what happened there. Well, the rest of it is, he just talks about, he says, I don't know, that guy's an idiot. And that's how I remembered it, because I had to slam on my brakes. At the end of the day, that's the interview. Now, I went ahead and did some more digging. And, okay, so let me go ahead and share the screen really quick. Let's see what I want to do. How do I want to do this? Okay, come back to here. Okay, so what we have here is we have Brian Drake at Isaac Thunderberg's apartment at 9:52 a.m. beginning that day. There for at least 10 minutes. Walks down here to Les Schwab, okay, where a Joel Ponce, who's married to Zinfandel Ponce, okay, yes, like the wine. Zinfandel is a female. Zinfandel Ponce. Okay. Yeah. And honestly, what ends up happening here in that interview, they start talking about, and I'm going to see if I can get it to keep playing, but he's actually saying, well, my truck, I always have my truck clock, like usually 5 to 10 minutes fast. So I'm always, on time and early. So he's like, it was probably like 6:55 when that happened, because I looked down at my clock and I just saw that it was 7:03, but 6:55 p.m. is when he thinks that, and that's exactly when I have him going across. It was like 6:58. So I've done all the work with these surveillance cameras, and then I come across this, and I'm just like, holy shit. You're like proving my shit like double time. Like it's just another form of like corroborating everything. So, so let's go back to this, which is these people here. Zinfandel Ponce is a female. She's a patient of Dr. Drake's. Joel Ponce is a patient of Dr. Drake's. They are married. Okay, so they are married. He works at the Les Schwab and kind of runs it for the guy that owns it, which is right here. Okay, so this one. All right. So on the day of the murder, not only does Dr. Drake, he's at the building, okay, of Isaac Thunderberg. Then right after that, at 10:03, then he's literally at the building of Les Schwab where Joel Ponce works and who's a patient of his, as well as Joel's wife, Zinfandel Pons. Okay. So now, on the day of the murder, as you will see here, Zin Pons, female, Zin Pons, had an appointment with Dr. Drake at the day of the murder, 9:30 a.m. So, now this is going to be so wild. You guys aren't even going to believe this shit. Now, Zin Pons works for the hospital, okay? She was there in green scrubs. How do I know this? Well, because I did my homework to look at everybody that was on his list, and I got everybody's interviews, and then I went through them. Do you see where it says Brandon Glazer, and there's like a space there, okay? And then Zin Pons, but do you see how there was right here, right after her, there's another appointment, okay? And then this was Andrea Berg's supposed to be appointment, but she didn't show up and they had to reschedule it, okay? Which makes it 100% like that's even more proof that here we go with Brian Drake has them, look at all of this time completely open in that schedule except for a name here, which was Marshall Thompson. It was actually the appointment was supposed to go to Marshall Thompson, but ended up going to Gail Thompson, his wife, because he didn't go. She took his appointment instead. And then there's a name right here, and we'll get to that. But all this other stuff is like there's nobody scheduled. He always left these big ass like gaps. And you could also, it's like lunchtime too, right? But we're talking like 2-3 hour gaps. Like you get lunch for an hour, buddy. Let me show you guys. Like here's the 5th, the week before. All right, see? Big old gap again, like that's your Thursday. All right. Just so you can see how I'm doing it. And these are in 15-minute increments, okay? See that? And he's in Bonners Ferry those 2 days, which is Monday and Thursdays. Okay. Now, when I went to go take a look at Zinfandel Pons' interview, and listen to it. Now I want you to see something here that's special. The woman before Zinfandel Pons, I'm sorry. It's Zin Pons and then Sharon. Okay, now. Sharon, like Sharon Stone. Okay. So the order is Zin Pons and then Sharon. Okay. Now, when Zinfandel says that she left, this is going to be amazing. Pons did not notice anyone in the waiting room when she arrived or left. Now, let's hear what Sharon says. When Sharon arrived, Sharon did not notice anything unusual upon arrival. Sharon recalled a female in green scrubs leaving Dr. Drake's while she was in the waiting room. So now here, think about this now. Hey, just leave and you're going to come back. I have only one more patient in Sharon, and then we're going to, and then I have like this big gap in my schedule. Okay, so check this out. So you have Zin, then Sharon, and Zin says she doesn't remember seeing anybody, but Sharon's like, yeah, when I was sitting there waiting, this woman in green scrubs. Well, the green scrubs person is Zin Pons because she works for the hospital. She's in green scrubs. Then after Sharon, guess what? he asks Andrea and says, hey, are you coming? Are you going to be here? And Andrea's like, oh my God, I totally forgot about the appointment. And he's like, okay, I can do like at 11:45. So he moves her all the way to 11:45. Now, she does live in Sandpoint, so you have to account for that time. So he moves her, the Berg person, to 11:45, but he doesn't change it on his schedule here. He just, whatever. Then there is a name here, which nobody was interviewed by this name that I have found yet, but I'm still digging. Now, check this out. What would be the odds that if Zin Pons went back there a second time, and when she actually left the second time, she didn't see anybody? That's why she's saying I didn't see anybody, because it was her second time when she left, if she went there. Because check this out. I went ahead and grabbed Joel Ponce's interview. And he had some very interesting things to say. He was able to find surveillance cameras that featured. Ponce was able to pull apart of a video that showed two vehicles parked at the northwest side of the main store. Another vehicle pulled into the parking lot with the headlights facing northwest. Two females got out of the vehicle, believed to be a Chevy Impala. The two females could be seen near one of the parked vehicles. The vehicle which had pulled up left the headlights on. Now, remember, Isaac Funderburg talks about this, okay, that you could just see it right outside the door. Well, I was able to find those. This is at the Les Schwab. There's the car. There's the two vehicles. Here's the two females in front, and they are acting like something is up with this car. Okay. What I'm able to see, though, here you can see the back end of so back end. See that car right there? It's going to pull past, and then you can see the back end of it right there. Okay. So now, if you look at the timestamps, that says 7:32, and this one says 7:30. Okay, in like 20 seconds. Now, what Joel says is that these cameras, though, weren't turned back for daylight savings. So it's actually 6:32 and 6:30, which is amazing for what I've been saying. Okay? All right. That this all happened way motherfucking earlier. Okay? So let's take a look. And then, now, what are the odds, okay, that on the day of this murder, Ponce was like, oh yeah, I was at work, I can show you. Then he realizes that oh shit, I actually went out of town to Missoula for the day for work, and I had gotten there like at 4:30 in the morning, and then I had returned home around 6, but before I returned home at 5:45, I had to return to work, which is Les Schwab, where he works, and return his work truck, because he parked his vehicle there and then used his he parked his vehicle at Les Schwab and then used his owner's work truck to then drive it to Missoula. Okay. And so and I could play this interview for you. And so now this is crazy. This is crazy, but you gotta think about this. What are the odds that Zin Ponce says, hey, my husband's out of town. He had to go to Missoula, and Drake wanted to go over there to see if that was true. Okay. So they go walk on over there. This is literally right after her appointment. Okay. And to see if the guy is actually like, well, dude, your husband's right across the street. Like, what do you mean? He can just pop over here in a second. What are the odds that he walks over there because Zinn is saying, well, he drove to Missoula, so he's not really at work. So is Drake checking up on that to see if he's not really there and he drove, what the girl said, only because if she then went back a second time, okay, because then what she says in her interview then is that she did not notice anyone in the waiting room when she arrived or left. Ponce noticed the hallway door was open upon arrival, and the door was typically closed. This was the main door inside the building, okay? And it was where you could get to like the bathrooms and stuff, and that this is never usually opened. Now, that's how it was when she arrived, okay? Like, so when she arrived, that door was open. It's never usually open. That means like somebody went out that way, but they never came back that way to like close it. And you could do that if you went out the front part of the building, which would take you then right across the street to where Aaliyah and Isaac lived, okay? Like, hey, hurry up. I got somebody coming here. Get the fuck out of here. Don't be seen this way. These people are all fucking whacks over there, I'm telling you. All fucking liars, too. Or maybe they just didn't remember, but you know what? I think they liars. Now, she noticed also that there was a Washington plate there that day. Okay? Now, the reason this matters is because Aaliyah Sandlin filed in court just recently that Isaac Funderburg was not the daddy of her baby and she wanted a DNA test. Shut up, Lana. Boom! That's a bomb right there. Now, again, Drake is at that apartment at 9:52 a.m. Aaliyah Sandlin's apartment. The day he is murdered. He's also across the street at Les Schwab. The day that the Chevy Impala, these other cars were parked there to wait to come across. Isaac's coming across. Aaliyah Sandlin then just recently filed in court. Go check it out. She wants a DNA test because she is going to prove that Isaac Funderburg is not the dad of her child that she got pregnant with while living at the apartment across the street of Dr. Drake. Holy shit, say what? Now, we got to go on Maury Povich because I can't be doing this DNA testing, okay? But Maury, does he still have a channel out there? What this tells me is regardless if it is Drake's baby or not, okay, because that's where I'm hinting, it tells me that Aaliyah Sandlin was up in that apartment with other people because she is that adamant that you ain't the daddy, okay? And we're going to get some DNA tests. What are the odds? What if it comes back that Drake's the dad? Wild shit, right? Do I think that he is? I have no idea. I have no clue. But what I can tell you is that I can tell you this, that on the day of that man's murder, he was 100% in and at that apartment for 10 minutes. Right there. And then at 9:52, which is how he could have been there, is because that 10 o'clock appointment was canceled. She didn't show up. And then he walks from there, see 9:52, and then 10 minutes later, he is at Joel Ponce's, like right there at his, okay? And how I'm getting all this information is I studied all of the, oh shit, balls. I studied right here every single latitude and longitude point and tracked this man. I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. I wish I was, but I'm not that good. All right, so then you mix this with Drake shutting off his Life 360 app because he knew that tracked him. So he shut that off, okay? And you mix that with This is the actual, like, we're nailing the points. This is on his data. That's right at the glass of his office. And you mix it with the inconsistencies, ready for this, of the statements of Isaac and Aaliyah. Aaliyah kind of was being like, she's like, no, remember this happened, that happened? Well, I went as far as to pull out Brandon's interview. And I want you to take a look. You see Brandon? You see how nobody's behind Brandon? Not a single one. Okay, Brandon. Now, in Brandon's interview, he says, upon leaving, he did notice a female, but did not recognize her. He did not recognize anything unusual in the parking lot and did not recall any specific vehicle. There was no one on. Okay, so Brandon did start his appointment a little bit later. Okay, so now I have to go to actually listen to Brandon and see if he explains that this woman was in scrubs. If not, that means that somebody else was there, okay, in between these two spots, because Zin Ponce, but he was running late, but he's saying that he didn't recognize the person. I think that he would have recognized her, okay? So there was then a person in between them, possibly, not even that she was there to get seen in terms of like crackage of backs, okay? But what if Aaliyah Sandlin's coming on over there and saying, hey, we have to talk? Who knows, right? So we're going to be pulling up Brandon's interview to hear what Brandon has to say and if he describes this person and if she was, you know, what's up. Now, I want to show you. Isaac Thunderbird was called. This was never recorded, and I was able to find it. On March 13th, Isaac Thunderbird was called because they wanted to get a better description of the guy that he had seen that was on the same side of the street as him, the guy that came after the gunshots, okay? And this was the Steve Hartman guy. Now, take a look really closely. During my phone call to Spain, Ireland, I learned the following regarding the description of the walking male. 6 foot to 6'2", blue hoodie with a white or silver vest. He's getting everybody's vests. Sweatpants or light colored jeans. He asked the male if he had heard the gunshots. The male was not wearing earbuds. Isaac said had just returned from the store and was standing next to his vehicle near his apartment. This was at 7:30 because we have Stephen Hartman on camera at 7:34, which was right after he would have talked to him from the Liberty cameras. Here it is again. Like, how are the cops not seeing that this cannot be correct? That Isaac was returning now from the store when he saw this man, which means he said he called 911 at 7:29, or that's what 911's telling us, 7:29. But how could Isaac make it to the store at Super One from 7:29 and be back to his apartment at 7:31 to see this guy? Again, this puts Isaac Thunderberg's story totally out of order. And when he did his 313 recording earlier that day with ISP, this is not how the order that they say it. And this is an own discrepancy within his own story. It is right here in black and white, but look what it says. There is no evidence to be placed in ISP evidence regarding the phone call because it wasn't recorded. But it was documented. And right here, he had just returned from the store. Boom, motherfucking pow. He said he had called 911 and then went to the store, Super One, to go get mustard for the burgers and then had come back. You know how long that would take you? That ain't going to take you 1 minute. Isaac Funderburg was circling and driving through and all over. And he is the one that was driving past Drake's and in back and through there with his vehicle. Seen by Tim at 6:55, way earlier, okay? And they want to keep pushing this timeline back on when this happened. Because why? Because of Jennifer Drake's statements. Because Jennifer Drake said she talked to her husband at 7:17. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. She talked to maybe somebody at 7:17, but it wasn't her motherfucking man. Now, let's take another look at another thing. When I talked to Aaliyah Sandwell on the phone, she told me that her and Isaac went to the store together that night. Say what? Yeah, she had a lot of things to say that were completely different from what has been, said and all these crazy things, right? She also said that Isaac wasn't putting on license plates onto her car because she just got her car from her family, and her family gave her that car, and he didn't need to be putting on plates to her car. But then the biggest thing comes from our conversation, which was that they brought her Idaho State Police photographic lineup. And they said, "Can you come on in?" And I said, "When did this happen? When did they ask you that you wanted to photograph somebody, like to do a lineup?" And she said, "Like the next day." And I said, "The next day?" And she said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, do you know that you and Isaac totally have two different descriptions of the person? And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, he's describing like a Middle Eastern dark-skinned person. And she's like, "What? No, he didn't." And I was like, "Yeah, and you said that you're describing like a white dude." She's like, "Well, when I did my lineup stuff," she said, "after I was done, they told me that I identified more." And I said, "Dr. Moore?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Interesting." I said, the police told you who you identified?" And she said, "Yes." And I was like, "And that was the day after the murder, not like August?" And she's like, "This guy came to the house in the morning, like the next day." And I said, "Who, Caleb Watts?" And she said, "No, I know Caleb. He's the ginger." And I said, "Okay, yeah, I know." I said, "Who came there?" She's like, "One of the guys, like the officers." And I said, "Was it like a guy with a beard, fat? Was he skinny? Was it the assistant chief? Was it Marty Ryan?" And she's like, "Yeah, actually, I think it was him." And I said, "Oh, and he brought you some pictures?" "Yeah." And I said, "You did something the day after the murder." And now either Aaliyah is confused, because the only thing that I could find in evidence is Aaliyah doing it in August. Okay? There's her signature, August 24th. And now let me show you the pictures that Aaliyah was given. These are the rules. Photographic lineup advisory when you guys get these. Number 1, I'm about to show you a set of photos. A person involved in the investigation may or may not be included. A person being investigated may or may not be included. I do not know the order of the photos. Even if you identify someone during this process, I will continue to show you all photos in the series. Keep in mind that a photo may be an old one. Some things like hair color and styles or facial hair can be changed, and skin colors may look lighter or darker in photographs. Do not feel you have to make an identification. It is just as important to clear innocent persons as it is to identify the guilty. Whether or not you identify someone, the investigation will continue. You will see only one photo at a time. They are not in any particular order. Take as much time as you need to look at each one. Do not discuss this process or the results with any other potential witness in this case. These are your instructions. Ready? Photo number 1. Photo number 1. Photo number 2. Again, this was August 24th, 2020. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. And number 6. Those were her 6 pictures that she was shown on August 24th, 2020. August 24th, 2020. Now, I'm going to reveal, because what you have to do is it says, the fact that photographs are being shown to you should not influence your judgment. Do not conclude or guess that the lineup includes a photograph of the suspect. You are not obligated to identify anyone. The Idaho State Police is interested in exonerating the innocent as is in prosecuting the guilty. Keep in mind, the hair color, styles, or facial features can easily be changed. Photographs do not always depict the true complexion of a person. It may be lighter or darker than shown in the photo. Pay no attention to any markings, numbers, or differences in the type of style of the photographs. If you see anyone among the photographs that you can identify, please point them out. Even if you identify someone during this process, I will continue to show you all of the photographs in the series. Okay, now I'm going to reveal what pictures, if any, Aaliyah Sandlin, she said, were the guilty parties. Or I shouldn't say guilty parties, was the person that she saw that night running from Drake's office building. Okay? Again, in the same order. Picture number 1 I showed you was this man. Okay? I'm doing this for a reason because I want to show you something. Think about if this man only had hair around there. Okay? Now, Aaliyah Sandlin, Mom, she signs it. Picture 2, this man. Now look at his ears. Look at his eyes. Okay, look if he only has a little bit of hair popping out there. See, I'm just trying to cover it up so you can only just see like that. Ready? Aaliyah Sandlin signs it. That's picture 2. Let's go to Dan Moore. Person 4 in the lineup. Aaliyah Sandlin doesn't sign it. Aaliyah Sandlin was either lied to or she lied to me. Dan Moore was not picked out of the lineup, or was there a technicality here? You ready for this shit? So I went through and I found there was a lineup from March of 2024. And I also found that there was a homeless man / transient that was squatting and using a blue tarp right next to and in the back area where Drake's building was, right by where those leaves and stuff and that little path that you would run across. Okay? Ready? You're not going to fucking believe this. In March, there would be a Joshua Moore that was the transient. The homeless man from Drake. He had the same last name as Dr. Moore. So when someone's going to say that you identified Moore, is that because you identified Joshua Moore, the transient who was living, squatting behind Drake's building the day, like Monday, Tuesday of the week of the murder? That's how deep my investigations go. Needless to say, Isaac Funderburg nor Leah Sandlin has ever identified Dr. Daniel Lee Moore. That is a fucking lie that's out there. And guess who started and perpetuated that lie? The police. According to Leah Sandlin, the police told her that she identified Dr. Moore. She never fucking identified Dr. Moore. Never once. The police are the ones that told her that. That is what she said to me in an interview, and that's what I'll be turning over. The lies gotta stop, and the lies are being told from above as much as they are being told by the citizens. Brian Drake was 100% at Isaac Funderburg's apartment on the day that he was murdered. Isaac Funderburg was one of the 911 callers that day. Isaac Funderburg is not being truthful about what he did that day after, in the early afternoon hours to the early evening hours. Tim Hand puts Isaac Funderburg, as well as surveillance cameras, put Isaac Funderburg at Drake's office prior to the murder. That is how he can identify for a fact the clothing that Caleb Kakoa Nazara was wearing. It's because he was there. Okay? Now, I'll be back later. I got more, but go ahead and digest this shit because I think it's a lot for y'all. Much love. Hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down on your way out. Give it up for the mods, keeping it real in chat. Give it up for new membership, Too Much Mom, Rise and Grind membership for 2 months. We're on our way to a baby. Amy, 3 months. That first trimester's underway. There you go. Heather One Dimple passing out some gifted memberships. Woo woo! Yeah, girl. She's a gem. And Leanne, thank you for the super sticker. Boom. Dr. Drake, there's more to it. I got more, but I want to do a follow-up to this one tomorrow. So that way you guys can just, take the information that you have here. If you have questions about it, or if you have things to say about it, use the comment section. Also, please go check the community page out. I am looking, and I think I found the Drakes also owned a white Ford truck, and I have it as it's following Aldora Gatchel out of Dr. Drake's office that night. It's a white big truck, extended cab, 4 doors or whatever. And things are going to get really, really interesting. The trial for this huge civil showdown is this July in Idaho. We will be there. We will be bringing the facts. Again, Drake Moore civil showdown, which is going to be a mini criminal trial as well. So mark your calendars for July 2024. We're bringing the fireworks. If you have any information in this investigation and you're afraid to contact the local authorities, please feel free to email myself at themindchallenge@gmail.com. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
It's November 29th. 4 people that were murdered, and you want to fuck around. You got 8 families that are being affected by this, and the biggest name, nobody from the university.
Shock value. And so what he did was he had taken pictures of California.
Oh, you're from. I would be outraged if I lived in Moscow right now. I'd be lighting some cars on fire out there. I'd be flipping some cars. I'd get the frats going wild with me. Let's get some noise complaints going.